Welcome to the Alignment Show, where we explore what it really means to live in line with what matters most. If you're feeling the pull to make a shift, or just need a little encouragement to stay on track, you're in the right place. In this solo episode, I'll share some thoughts that I hope will inspire and support you on your journey. Let's get into it. And good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome once again to the Alignment Show. Glad to have you back with us. My name is Don King, and I will be your host as always today in what is our 101st episode. This will be a solo show. I guess the natural thing would have been to have done it at episode 100. But yeah, there was a lot going on around that, and I wanted to go ahead and get that episode out. I was glad to have episode 100 with Rachel Herron. I think that's what episode 100 was. And I'll be talking just a bit about what all was going on, but in a way it works. You know, here we are with the first episode of 2026. I guess if I had to pick an icon for 2025, it would probably be a dumpster fire. Whew, boy, there's been a lot going on all around the world and here in the nation, and we've had a lot going on here in the home office, which I'll talk about in just a moment. But first, we have a couple of elephants in the room to talk about. So, the regular listeners, you know, I haven't been able to post consistently. And if you read or see any kind of advice about how to do podcasts, or for that matter, blogging or substacking or whatever it is, over and over and over, you'll hear people talking about be consistent. Consistency could just be once a month. If you say you're going to do it once a month, do it once a month. Well, that's been a problem around here. I had two options, basically. That is to do it imperfectly, whatever it might be, whether we're talking about podcast posting or the Substack newsletter or whatever. Do it imperfectly or basically disappear. Just not do it. We have a small but dedicated audience, and several members of that audience encourage me to keep going, however imperfectly it might be. And I've tried to honor that, but, those who've been around for a while, you know about our disabled daughter, Hannah. She moved into a nursing home after nearly 22 years. We had resisted that, but it became necessary, to move her into that situation. And that happened the 1st of August. So that was a disruption, and it was hard to do anything else while we were working with that. And then I guess it was in October or November, anyway, she wound up in the ICU for 10 days. Now, in a way, that's not all that disruptive because that's what her life has been like. This was somewhere between the 35th and 40th hospitalization. But we had to go into crisis mode, okay, and so that disrupted things. And now we have to pause here because I do need to share the news with folks who have been with us for a while that unfortunately Hannah went into the hospital again in the middle of December, and she died. So obviously that has thrown a lot of things out of whack. I deeply appreciate the care and the concern and the understanding. Many of you knew about that, know about that situation. And I haven't said a lot about it. I've put some stuff on social media with friends and family, but I didn't want the podcast or the newsletter to turn into therapy. I've written about it a little bit, but life moves on, and this last stretch, the last few weeks, have been about recovering from the loss, handling the practical realities of dealing with insurance and all that kind of thing, planning the memorial, what we're in the middle of right now, I've been doing some of the hardest and yet the most meaningful writing that I've ever done. And that has just made everything else kind of come to a standstill. So let's talk about where things stand right now here for episode 101. I have several episodes already recorded. Some of them are months old. Honestly, I'm going to need to check back with the guests to see if they're still relevant. So there's a little extra work around that. The original plan was for us to post episodes twice a month. Recently, it's been more like once a month. And so I just feel bad about that. I don't know how else to put it. Because we've got all of the backlog. For a little while here, I'm going to try, not going to promise, but I'm going to try to release episodes weekly to catch up. One of the things that we did to make that more possible is that I'm not trying to do video versions. We will put a video version on YouTube, but it's going to be one of those things to where we basically just have a static image, probably an audio waveform or something like that, just so we can get it on YouTube, but not putting in the video production time that we had done through, I guess, 95 episodes. Partly that is to make sure that I can get a little more consistent. I had begun producing regular print content. And by print, of course, we're talking about on computer, but you know what I mean, text as opposed to audio or video. That got interrupted, and then I fell behind for paid subscribers. And it's not because I have abandoned that, but I've been rethinking what support actually means. I want to honor the paid subscribers who make it possible for us to continue doing this, but also doing some realistic thinking about what we provide for paid subscribers. So I'll talk about that a little more in a bit. Don't worry, okay? We're not having things go away, just thinking about it a little differently. A lot of you know that along with everything else I've been doing, I've been providing publishing services. That means for other writers, I've been helping to get their books published. I don't consider myself a publisher. I'm not out there doing marketing. I don't receive funds and then disperse them. But I've been doing interior formatting for books, print books, and ebooks. I've been doing cover design. Related services, helping to get a book onto Amazon and Kobo and Draft2Digital and all these places. And that slowed down. In fact, I've got a few clients who've been very patient, but I'm behind on that. And my own writing has slowed as well. So not complaining, just giving you context here. And so this is what we're going to do to catch up. I need to catch up on these things. And then we want to shift to a new normal. I want to get back to posting the podcast, that is the Alignment Show, twice a month. Technically, fortnightly. That's a British term I'm finding, but it's a good term. Every 2 weeks. Well, and what that means is that some months there would be 3 episodes. I think I can keep up a rhythm of every couple of weeks. The priority is to simplify the production flow as much as possible. That's why we're going audio first. As I mentioned a little while ago, we're going to do a light video version. Just enough to be able to get it onto video platforms, not a heavy production like what I had been doing. The heart of the podcast is going to remain the same. We are helping people bring their lives into alignment with their values. That's what the Alignment Show is all about. I think we are going to have a stronger focus on writers. Since writers, authors tend to live with conscious awareness of values and bringing their lives into alignment with their values. And we have several interviews like that already lined up. It's not going to be exclusively writers, but I'm leaning a little bit more that way. I'm still considering a supportive community that we've talked about before. My latest book is Creating While Caring. It's a nonfiction book that is aimed at helping to support people who already had an established career or some success as painters or sculptors or writers, musicians, creative plumbers, architects, whatever it might be. There was some creative means of making a living. There's already been some success, and now you find yourself as a caregiver. And how that changes things. Well, that's what Creating While Caring was about. And I became aware that there really is not, as far as I know, an existing community specifically for creative folks who are caregivers. I don't have the time to take on a major project like that, but I am exploring finding a partner, somebody who can help run such a community, see whether we can get a community like that going, and I intend to explore that some more. I'm still doing publishing services, but I must be much more selective about it, not take on quite so many projects at once. As far as writing is concerned, when Hannah went into the nursing home, I was working on 3 books at once at that time. And without going into the nature of those books, since then, that has expanded to 6 to 9 ideas, all of them some idea that I really want to develop. Of course, I can't work on all that many at the same time. They're not all going to be active at once. But it does mean that I need to put more emphasis, more time into my own writing. Now, 2 of those books are closely connected to Creating While Caring, and a 3rd book is in the middle of being written. It's part of the Parable series, the Sparklight Chronicles. I really need to get all 3 of those done. But the 2 that are closely connected to Creating While Caring, I guess are a little more urgent just because Creating While Caring came out most recently. One of them is a book of devotionals for caregivers. And the other one, the working title is Formation Under Constraint. Sort of lessons that we learned from Hannah, from the caregiving that we've done all these years. But it's not just lessons from her. It's a reflective nonfiction book about formation and limits and the illusion of control. So that one's going to be interesting to dig into. But writing has to be central. It's central to my identity. It's what makes me tick. It's what drives everything else that I do. I've got to put the focus there. So I'm not promising publication frequency for the newsletter yet because I primarily identify as a writer, though. I'm going to be producing more short-form material in the process or alongside of writing these books. I want to provide more there because writing is where I serve best. I've got to honor the writing. And so we've got to figure that part out. In any case, as we bring this solo episode to a close, I will say we are deeply saddened by Hannah's loss. But at the same time, for the first time in over 20 years, we in our household can actually begin to develop a routine. It'll take time, but there is the possibility of consistency finally within reach. As I wrap up, I want to say a word about the subscriptions for folks here for the podcast and for the newsletter that we do here at King's Chronicles. And I want to say this clearly. I have been learning that subscriptions on Substack are primarily about people wanting to support creators, not about transactions. The stuff that we provide matters, but people are not, they're not treating Substack like a discount store or something. Now, that does not mean that paid subscribers won't receive the extras that we've planned. It does mean I'm resisting the urge to continue to pile on extras just to justify a price. There are a number of successful Substacks, for example, that really don't offer anything extra to paid subscribers. They just recognize that people want to support creative folks. And I think that probably drives a lot of the folks who are already paid subscribers for our newsletter and for the podcast. So we're going to continue to provide those extras, but we also recognize most people are already overloaded. They don't necessarily even want those extras. In fact, I know of at least one paid subscriber for the King's Chronicles who don't want to take advantage of those extras. My commitment is to create good, meaningful work, to provide something that people feel that they want to support. And I want to be genuinely grateful for the support that makes that possible. I don't take that support lightly. I take it seriously enough to slow down and try to do the work to the best of my ability. And I appreciate the community that makes that possible. This really is a community. Substack gives much more of an opportunity for genuine connection among people of similar interests. And so I would urge you, if you want to stay connected, not just with me, but with each other, follow the podcast. There are several fascinating episodes coming. If you have just stumbled across this, then there will always be a free subscription that will get you the podcast. We're grateful for those upgraded subscriptions, but we want to serve. And so follow the podcast, like, share, and subscribe. You know the routine on that. It helps other people to find material that they will relate to. We're all about helping people to live their values so they can value their life. Follow the newsletter. Some of you read more than you listen. Some of you listen more than you read. We try to get you good content, however is most meaningful to you. And follow me, Don King. Follow me in places that you already do. Maybe connect a little bit more tightly. Here on Substack, for example, it confuses people sometimes that you can subscribe to publications and you can follow people. You can follow me, and you can also subscribe to any publication that I'm a part of. They're not the same thing, but they overlap. I think we're all about connection, and I believe in our current world, connection is both easier and harder. In any case, it needs to be intentional. Once again, thank you for your connection here, and I hope that you do find that it helps to make your life a little more meaningful, not because I'm so good, but because humans need to connect, and we encourage that. I look forward to more time with you in 2026, whether it is through the podcast or through our newsletter. But in any case, I hope that you will find that we provide some support that helps you to live your values so you can value your life. Not sure who our next guest will be here on the podcast. I know I've got several lined up. We just need to pick one of them, and we'll get it out there soon. So we will see you next time here on The Alignment Show. That's a wrap for this episode of The Alignment Show. What's your next step? Whatever came up for you, take action. Talk it out with a friend or just sit with it for a moment. And if this episode sparked something meaningful, share it with someone you care about. You can subscribe and find all past episodes at thealignmentshow.com. And be sure to follow or leave a review wherever you heard or watched this. It really helps more folks find the show. We'll be back soon with another thoughtful conversation. Until then, live your values and value your life.